Yep. Let me see. Good evening. Trying to figure. Jeremy, could you start the recording?
Yeah, I did already, Ken.
Thanks.
So I'm gonna, if you need me, just call my cell, all right?
Okay. All right. Okay. Good evening, everybody. I've muted everybody for the introductions. I'm gonna have to start the meeting. We cannot have a quorum, so all we can do is report back to the full board. We cannot make motions tonight, but I am going to start the meeting because it is now 7:35. The members of the committee that are here are all, I'm going to take minutes, so you just have to bear with me when I do this. We have Oral Selkridge, Robert Press. I'm going down the way the people appear on my screen. Julie Schipper, SCHI, DOT. That's Mr. Horseman. How do you, is that? Mr. Horseman, is that Juden Horseman? Is that the way you pronounce the name? Let me see if I can do this.
Yeah, it's Chiton with city planning.
Okay. I'm going to remute you again. I'm Mr. Keith Kalb. Mr. Kalb, I said you're the acting DOT commissioner for the Bronx.
That is correct. The interim Bronx Borough Commissioner.
Mr. Darissa Cruz, is Ms. Cruz a member of the public, or
she's
part of the
senior borough. Go ahead, senior borough planner for the Bronx DOT.
Okay, that's fine. All I need to know is what the people are. And Roxanne Delgado is a member of the public, as is Mr. Press. Okay. Mr. Horseman, I think maybe you want to take the lead on this, because frankly, what we would like to know is my understanding of this motion. I'm sorry, of the proposed amendment.
Ken, hold on. Who is Ken? Wait a second, Ken. Who's Julie? What are you? You're New York City DOT.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Designer there, or your role?
I'm the deputy chief of staff.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyways, Mr. Horseman. Mr. Horseman, my understanding of this amendment is that what you're basically looking to do is to delete the entire text amendment as of this moment and not replace it with anything at this point in time. Is that correct?
A little bit, but there's more to this. So I know this back in October.
Right.
I won't go into all the details of it, but
yeah, I know, because you
there
came in like at the end, we
was
weren't
the
prepared for
amendment to remove the existing rule part of the public review process. When we have now gotten to the end of that public review process, we've actually made some modifications, which I think is important. So before, the idea was to remove the rules and the executive order would remain in place, and new rules could go be basically approved by city council through after the CAPA process, a number of other legal processes. But with an amendment that we made to the text is that the current rules will remain in the zoning resolution, even though they're still being overridden by the mayoral executive order So
Could you
essentially,
repeat?
they're
I couldn't
not
hear what you said.
going away. They're just not being used as they're being superseded.
They're being superseded, but they're not being, so
The
basically, the
mayor-
text amendment is being,
Mayoral executive order will continue to supersede the rules, but we are not removing them from the zoning resolution until the DOT rules are ready to advance.
oh, okay.
That was a change to the original
That makes it a whole
application as part of
new
the.
ball game.
So we're now at city council. And they've been approved at the city planning commission with that modification in place. So really, the existing text is just going to sit in the zoning resolution until, like we said, the DOT rules are ready to go into effect.
What you're telling me then is that you're not doing anything with the text amendment as of now. Is that correct? Okay. I think that, to me, to my mind, when you tell me that you're not
I'm not sure
modifying
if there's
them
lag
and everything is
or
basically
you're
status
cutting
quo
out.
until the
I'm
new
sorry,
rules
I'm not catching
come in,
everything.
am I correct?
Ken,
Mr. Horst?
Ken, he's having
Yeah,
a problem
He's having
hearing us.
okay.
I think
Are other people having problems,
Jotan, I
or
think
is it
I
just
think it's on
myself?
your end
I can
because
call on the phone if it's
we're
just me.
hearing everything fine, but you
Let
yes, you're
let
cutting
me
out.
call. Okay,
Would you want to try restarting your computer? Would that
let me
do
call
it
the
for you?
hard line. This might solve that problem.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Okay. Sorry, I was having some issues with the headphones.
Yours ending 18 on one number is ending 718 to something 18, correct?
Correct. That's my work phone. Yes.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so let me ask you this. I just want to cut to the chase because it seems like you are not deleting anything. Everything is basically staying in limbo until the new rules come in. What do we do? Then we're not doing anything at this point, essentially. Am I correct?
Sure. So I think that right now DOT is starting to engage the public for the new rules. I think there's been a couple of press releases that have come out that have several links in it that are asking for surveys and other information. So as far as the text amendment and through the city planning, no, there's nothing really for the community board to do. But if you want to continue to stay engaged with the proposed changes, then there are things that the community can do to stay engaged.
That we would love to do. Could you possibly send the district manager the links and everything else so you can forward it to the members of the community board and all the public?
I will send it to whoever was on the thread. I think it's Jeremy, and I think that's best if he shares that with the rest of the board rather than
That's
myself.
fine.
Yeah, and it can be
all right.
forwarded so you can see it came from me.
Other members of the sorry, Ms. Shipper, Mr. Cal, I'm not going to ignoring you, but I really feel at this point there's nothing. If I'd have known this, we might have even canceled the meeting, but in any event.
We're happy to be ignored.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's totally fine.
No.
Whatever help, however we can help.
What I would like to do now, Mr. Oral, do you have any questions?
No, I like the response because
That
I'm
makes
ignored
two
all
of
the
us.
time too. I like being ignored.
All right, well, next we'll
Um,
call on members of the public in the order in which they appeared. So it's Robert Press. Mr. Press, you were here first. Do you have any questions for
Yes,
this,
I
for
do.
the city planning?
Is this the 52-page proposal that's online, Juton?
Honestly, I'm not sure how many pages it is, so I don't want to directly respond to that based on a
Dated
page number.
6/18,
It is on our.
2021? Am I right? It's dated 6/18, 2021?
I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared for that question, so I have to look. Maybe I'll look it up and come back to that in a second.
It's the Open Restaurants Text Amendment,
Yes,
it's called.
yes, that would be it. It's the Open Restaurants Text Amendment on our
Okay.
website.
What it does, though, is there's a lot of crossouts on there. And I hope that this board would be able to know what the crossouts are. There are pages and pages and pages of crossouts. And for me, having voted on sidewalk cafes, it allows a sidewalk cafe now to have 9 feet from from out instead of only 8 feet, if I'm not mistaken, was the old rule.
No, that's incorrect. It's still 8 feet.
It said 9 feet on the papers here. Check it and you'll see.
So I'll clarify quickly on what is in that text amendment. So that text amendment does several things. So we have some existing rules that city planning is regulating sidewalk cafes today. The strike-throughs, and the reason that they're so numerous, is because we are removing all the rules from the zoning resolution, and they would live through the CAPA rules with the Department of Transportation. So they're going to be, and this is what we're going to be working on over the next year with Department of Transportation and other outreach that's going to occur, is exactly what those finalized rules are. So there's nothing in the text which should be saying new rules, saying 9 feet or anything like that. Now there's an executive order in place which is superseding those rules today, basically saying that certain sidewalk cafes can occur, and I'm sorry, I don't have all the details. Maybe DOT can weigh in on what the executive order permits. But the strike-throughs are basically removing the rules in the existing zoning resolution and then moving it to the Department of Transportation, and then allowing for the zoning resolution to basically not contradict the Department of Transportation rules that would go into effect.
Okay,
Correct. And
Mr.
there are, the only limits really are in Manhattan and Queens, and 2 limits are in the Bronx, in Little Italy, and in City Island, if I'm not mistaken. Am I correct on that? Or you haven't read it yet?
I've read it. The limitations, I'm not following which you're referring to.
It depends on what page you're on, because there are various different limitations on different pages.
There are special district rules, but they have been also eliminated as well. So
My final question.
Go on, Mr. Press.
One more question, please. Is the sidewalk cafe or the street dining limited to just in front of the business establishment instead of the whole, area of the building if the owner has, or if the business owner has permission of the landlord? Is it now just going to be in front of their business?
Just in front of the business.
Okay.
And I would say that is something that is being discussed currently and will be continue to be discussed over the next year and a half. Those rules are not finalized.
Okay, because I'm sure Board 11 wanted to know that.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Press. We also, Diana Finch has also come. Okay, Ms. Delgado, do you have any questions for them at this point?
Yes, I do have.
Ms. Delgado?
First, yes, can you hear me? No? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, go ahead, Roxanne.
Hi, I'm sorry. Are you able to hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'd like to say first regarding open restaurants. I think it's a great compromise because it allows our businesses to continue to do business as well as give an option to the people to maintain health safety precautions, meaning regarding COVID-19. Unfortunately, we're dealing with the reality of a pandemic. I know some people may not like open restaurants, but it's the only compromise we have to continue having our businesses remain in business, as well as people like my patrons, like myself, to maintain our safety. And we need restaurants to stay in business, not only because it helps our economy, but also because I have some vacant stores nearby me where it has brought graffiti, trash, and even some crime. So not only for the benefit of our economy, but also for the quality of life in our business corridors, we must have businesses to continue doing business. I just heard you say regarding that regarding the store front only in front of their business, that rule should be grandfathered, because I know that there's many businesses who have invested over almost $60,000 of their money to do the outdoor dining, and they receive permission from the property owners to expand the outdoor dining, to expand over longer than their front of their business. So I don't think we should expect these businesses to add additional cost of business by having them to dismantle their existing outdoor dining to be in accordance with the new rule. They should be grandfathered. I think that you might apply to new outdoor dining establishments, but not to. They really should be grandfathered, because right now businesses are suffering, and with the COVID-19 variant, we don't know how long this might last. So I really would like you to consider grandfathering that rule if it does become a proposal, if the proposal is enacted. Will you consider that, please?
Yeah, thank you, Roxanne. I think that's really important feedback. I'm also going to share some information to Jeremy, who can then pass it to the community board members or the community in large. And there are places to get involved, share that feedback further, provide survey information. So appreciate you sharing that today. We do hear you, and we will continue to engage you if you continue to give us.
Yes, and I'd like to say something, and this has nothing to do with DOT, but the community board does not reflect this community at large. And I say that, unfortunately, sadly, but truly. We unfortunately have the community board weaponize the state liquor license against people of color, against businesses owned by people of color, with Gasolina, with Curvins, with this recently, a Mexican restaurant that recently opened, where they had to sign stipulations that were ridiculous, and I may file a complaint with the state liquor license agency because of that. I watched your Bronx Borough public hearing that was only open to the district managers, and I like that you say they have public hearings to engage the public. And I heard some of the board members say that they wanted the community board to have more say. No, we need the community to have more say, not the community board, because a lot of the community boards, unfortunately, have been out of touch with the changing demographics of this district, as well as the fact that many of those who exist on the community board don't live in the community that's going to be impacted. Yet they're voting on things that doesn't impact it, or do they have much knowledge about it? I think when you have a public hearing, it should be run by DOT, and the area that's going to be impacted by this decision. So if it's going to be on Palm Parkway, hold in Palm Park. It's going to be Morris Park, hold in Morris Park. It's going to be City Island, hold in City Island. Don't hold in Community Board 11, where the majority of people don't even live in that neighborhood that's going to be impacted. And unfortunately, some of them hold outdated views about the changing demographics, where they feel because the restaurant's owned by a person of color, it's going to bring crime, it's going to bring ghetto-ness. That's actually what one of the board members said, it was ghetto. I thought it was so disgusting to say that just because something is owned by a person of color, the business is ghetto. And anyhow, I don't want to get you involved. I really like you to consider that when you have public community hearings on this outdoor dining, it must be held by the community, not the community board. It should be held in the area that's going to be impacted, not held in Morris Park, discussing how a business is in Palmer Parkway or in Allerton or in other parts of the neighborhood is going to be impacted when most of them don't even never step foot in that area. So please make sure it's community input, not community board input. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you, Roxanne, for your feedback. I would also say there are other opportunities, at different places, the borough president, the city council, the city planning commission, which also try to engage. But I hear you, and we'll always try to do a better job of reaching out to the communities that are affected. I just want to point out, someone reached out to me that they're in the waiting room. I don't know if there's someone that can check to see if there's people in the waiting room?
Don't know.
Oh, actually, it looks like they're here now. Great.
Who I saw Ms. Finch. I don't know who else.
Yeah, Michael Cavalar, who will be the
He's-
committee board liaison for Board 11, is just joined
Okay.
us. So.
Okay, that's the.
I can't.
All right. I think we have one more person, Ms. Finch. Do you have any questions for the city planners?
No, I joined late, so you probably went over everything I was going to ask about.
Okay. All right.
The new regulations are no outdoor dining in the winter. Is that true? Starting next winter? Unless it's on the sidewalk?
We didn't go into the details of what's being proposed, but that is something that's up for discussion. No, there are no current rules that have been basically decided on at this point. The Department of Transportation is going to be going through once they've kind of come up with a draft set of rules, a more formal referral recommendation process to get that feedback. DOT may be able to weigh in a little bit more on that, though.
Yeah, that's right. We're starting in the spring of 2022. We'll be going through a rulemaking process. We're currently coming up with draft designs and rules right now that will be shared with the public throughout. And once we have a draft plan, we will.
I think we'll be ending.
The word.
Jeremy, I think we'll be ending the meeting in a few minutes, so I don't have to stop it.
Ken, you got to mute yourself, Ken, please.
And after we come up with draft rules, we'll go through the rulemaking process. And
thanks.
Final set of rules, and the goal is to have the permanent program start in 2023. But that is all up for subject to change based on COVID and what happens with the pandemic. But that is the goal.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Diane, did you have a thought on that? It seemed like maybe you did.
Oh, just when will you be setting out the rules then for the restaurants to follow? Like, will it be in the summer? Will it be in the fall? Do you have an idea?
You missed it, Diane, didn't you? You missed it. We discussed that already. So you missed a portion of it. It's okay. You missed a portion of it where he discussed that currently right now the mayoral executive order will stay in place as is right now until the new DOT rules are complete. So currently right now nothing will change until the new rules and the regulations are hashed out between, I guess, DOT and city planning. So right now nothing's changing. And those are some good questions that you did ask about different situations, for example, in the winter, but I don't think they've reached that point yet. And
the idea is that there's also a transition process in that it wouldn't be until, we'll say, winter of 2023 that assuming that goes into effect, that they would be required to remove them over the winter. Sorry for interrupting you.
No, it's fine. It's fine. And it's fine. And just to tell you that we most of the people on the community board are from District 11, and we are happy and we are very interested in keeping the open restaurant. I know a lot of people are in favor of it, but the concerns are just, what are the new rules going to be? Are there safety parameters put into the sidewalk cafes? Are there enough egress and ingress out of, through to and on the sidewalk? Is there enough space to move through? So no one is objecting to not having those restaurants on the sidewalk. I think it's a beautiful scene. I love it. And when I walk down the street, I love seeing people eating outside. And I think it's really good for the business. However, we're just really concerned, as any community person should be concerned. Anything that goes into the neighborhood, it should be concerned about what's happening, what's going on. Will it be beneficial to the neighborhood? Will it be beneficial to the people in the neighborhood? And I think it will be, but people are just really concerned about the safety and the parameters of what's going to happen with these open restaurants. And so that's all the concerns are right now, because sometimes you do have restaurants that seem to be too close to a corner where if a car turns, is it going to interfere with the turning radius? I know sometimes when I see it, and sometimes when you're walking down a sidewalk, it seems kind of narrow to get a stroller through, or having two people pass each other. Is there enough room for that to happen? Probably, I know you're going to address all those issues, because, you know, if it's crowded, two people coming down the street, is there enough room, or do somehow have to go to the side to let someone through, and then you go back and you go on your way? That's not so easy with a stroller. So the community is just really concerned about what the parameters are, excuse me, of these new of the new rules, and will they help, if especially if it's going to remain a permanent structure, because you're talking about making this permanent, right? So if it's going to remain permanent, of course we want to know what that looks like. So we are very concerned about that. That's the only reason why. And I think a lot of the members on this board, including myself, we live here. We were raised in the Bronx. I raised my kids in the Bronx, all throughout this neighborhood, and I am concerned about this neighborhood. And I love this neighborhood. I love the Bronx, and I think it's a good thing that where people, mom and pop shops can do that, can open up sidewalk cafes, and so then you can even display your food. You see people eating, you look over like, wow, that looks really good. Maybe I'll stop by and eat the food too. So I think it's a great thing. That's all.
Yeah, thank you. I think you hit on some good points. I just want to say one quick thing about that. The rules will always have a clear path requirement. There's a number of reasons, not just for pedestrians, but for disability and ADA rule requirements and everything else. So, that will always occur. I think the idea is that it would be a minimum of 8 feet or up 50%, because you could have a much wider sidewalk. And so those are kind of the thresholds that exist today, and I believe those are the thresholds that we'd be that are looking at in the future. So, but we hear you. We acknowledge that that is always a concern for pedestrian access to continue. In New York, it's important.
About the wheelchair thing, about people and handicap accessibility. You're right. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you, everybody. I would like Mr. Delgado just made it. Okay.
I just have one
Mr. Delgado,
please. Why can I ask one little question?
Mr. Delgado.
Ken, it's okay.
Let for 2 seconds.
Ken, it's okay.
I will be back on 2 seconds. I'll unmute in 2 seconds.
Go ahead, Roxanne.
Hello?
Yes, Roxanne. Go ahead, please. Please wait for everybody. Please wait a few seconds for everybody. Give everybody, for members of the committee and everybody else, a chance to speak. Go ahead, please. Ms. Delgado?
Yes, speak.
Yes, please. Mr. Delgado, I think you've muted yourself. You may have muted yourself on the phone.
I believe it's *6 to unmute yourself if you're on the phone.
Now you're unmuted, I believe.
There you go.
Ms. Delgado?
Yes?
Please speak.
I'm trying to, but you muted me several times now. It keeps muting me.
We did not mute you. You may have muted yourself.
I did not. I wanted to speak and you shut me down.
Ms. Delgado, please speak.
Okay, thank you. First time I hear that from you. Okay, my question is, I know this program is going to be permanent, but we still have the corresponding program for those small restaurants that don't want to be permanent, but just want to have the outdoor dining until hopefully this COVID-19 ends, hopefully sooner than later. Do they all have to be either permanent or not, or do they have the option to be not permanent and not abide by the new guidelines, but continue outdoor dining, open restaurants until this COVID-19 ends? That is my question, please.
The program will not be made permanent until 2023. So the temporary program, the emergency program that we're in right now, will continue over the next year.
Okay, but would the emergency program continue, God forbid COVID-19 extends to 2024? Or that's too soon to ask?
It is too soon to ask. We don't know. The goal is to obviously be out of the pandemic and for all of the legal challenges that we need to get through over the next year, for those to go through, for the rule-making process to be complete by the end of the year, and then for the program to be permanent in 2023.
All right, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. At this point, I'm going to end the meeting. Mr. Horseman, Ms. Shipper, Mr. Kalb, Ms. Cruz from the various city departments. I thank you very much. All members of the public, Mr. Press, Ms. Delgado, Ms. Fincher, I forgot Mr. Cavalar. And Mr. Selkridge, I thank you all for coming tonight. Sorry we could not have an official meeting because the chair and the co-chair just showed up, and we tried.
No, Ken, no, I think it was helpful because now we
No.
know what to come back to the board with. That
Right,
they're
yeah, but
that they're
you could have made
still
in any
no.
event.
I think it was excellent. I think, and they clarified some things. I think Roxanne Delgado brought up some really good issues. So did Robert Press. So I think it was fruitful. I learned a lot, and I'm learning that
all I was saying was that we didn't.
the executive order is still in place, and the DOT until the new rules are hashed out and finalized. That was good to know.
What I was saying was that we didn't have an official meeting.
Yeah.
That's what I was just apologizing
Okay.
to them for.
Yeah.
In any event, everybody, thank you. Good night. And I'm gonna end the meeting now. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Take care.
Good night.
Thanks.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Everyone.
Happy holidays, everybody. Yeah, can you stop recording? We're done. Thanks. Thank you. Bye-bye.